Tony Drake was stuck in the worst traffic jam on the M25 since the last one, yesterday or the day before. Once it became clear no one was going anywhere for the foreseeable future, Tony sat back, thanked his lucky stars he'd picked up a couple of bottles of water and a large packet of Doritos, and stuck on his headphones to listen to Tom Gross. Around him, people were getting out of their cars, but he had no intention of doing anything. He'd worked in the club where he was a barman until 4 that morning, and as it was only lunchtime, he was knackered. If it hadn't been for his mom begging him to come up and look at her boiler, he'd have still been in bed, fast asleep. Tony opened his eyes as something thumped his car. A man ran up and claimed the large beach ball, mouthing an apology. Tony was tempted to scowl, but the man was hot, even if he was straight and on the short side. Tony liked his men, his doms, tall, dark, and loving dick. This guy was 5'10", if that, and very blonde. And okay, he had a nice ass, Tony had to give him that. Tony watched the man run back to his wife and kids and resume their game. The kids were young enough that their kicks went wild, and the bloke spent most of his time retrieving the ball from under cars. Eventually, the urge to sleep overcame the desire to watch the eye candy, and Tony fell asleep. A rap on the window made him jump. He opened his eyes to see the blond guy grinning at him. Tony turned the key and opened the window. "Hey, sorry to wake you, but the police just told us we'll be moving in a few minutes." He had a nice voice, low and rumbly. "Thanks." Tony rubbed his eyes. "I must have fallen asleep for a few minutes." The man chuckled. "Nearer an hour. When I saw you were still sleeping, I thought I'd wake you up before you became very unpopular." "God, really? An hour? Thanks." Tony looked at the time and winced. "I ought to call my mom. She'll be frantic." "Do it now," the man suggested. "I can hear engines starting in the distance." Tony watched him, well, his ass, walk away for the second time before he reached for his phone. He was listening to the dial tone when there was another rap at the window. The man was back again, this time sporting a blush and holding a business card. Tony lowered the window. "You don't know me," the man started. "And I don't even know if you're, but if you are, here's my number." He threw it at Tony and jogged away. "Hello, hello!" Tony suddenly became aware his mom was talking in his ear. "Mom? Tony, where have you been? I've been worried sick." "I'm sorry, there's an accident." "An accident? What's happened? Are you all right?" Tony cut across his mother's worried babble. "I'm fine. The motorway is closed and we've been stuck here for nearly 2 hours." "And you couldn't have called me sooner." "I fell asleep. I was working last night, remember?" "You should have told me." "I did. You made me feel guilty, so I agreed to come over." "Anthony Drake, I did no such thing." "Yes, you did." Tony grinned as he heard his father in the background. "Hush up, Martin," his mother snapped. "You should have told me how tired you were." "I did that too, Mom. I've got to go. We're finally moving. See you hopefully by 3. Not giving his mom a chance to reply, Tony threw his phone on the seat next to him and switched on the engine. It was only as he went to pull away he realized he was clutching the blond guy's business card. He looked at it briefly before he threw it next to his phone. Leo Marcus. It was nice to put a name to the butt. So he was gay. At least Tony was pretty sure that was what he was stammering about. No wife and kids, then. Or ex-wife. Tony shrugged. He'd been pretty, but he wasn't going to call. Tony was looking for a dom, not a boyfriend.